Contrary, no. Declare that carried. Thank you. Now we go to another approval required to make a submission on the Kāinga Ora bill. This is the second bill. And welcome Anna Jennings and Penny Perrott. And we have the motion before us. I've had an expression of interest. I've only had one expression of interest, and I've taken it and put it in writing there for us so we can move it along. Thank you, Councillor Angela Dalton, who's got an interest in this. So very willing to add to that. And we really don't have time for the local boards to go back and select members. It's going to have to be done through the chairs meeting, which I think is next week. It's coming up. So we need to land this quite quickly. Anna, would you like to make a brief presentation?
Sure. Kia ora. So the Kāinga Ora Homes and Communities Bill, the second bill, we're anticipating this comes out this week. There was a release from Minister Twyford yesterday, but we can't see it on the order for Parliament today. So we don't know the details of the bill yet. And in that we don't know the timeframes yet for the submission process. What we do know is that the second bill will introduce the powers for Kāinga Ora that will enable them to develop in specified development areas. So the powers will range from consenting powers to also around funding. It's a very important and significant bill for Council, and it has potential to impact across Council group policy, planning, finance and operational areas. We have established a working group and we're anticipating to have our first meeting next week, which includes representation from IMSB on that working group. But we can't really say a lot more until we see the details of the bill, and if the timeframes allow us, we will have workshops with local boards and with this committee and with IMSB as well. But this is in preparation for if those timeframes don't allow, then we will need a political working group established.
Thank you, Anna. Questions on this, members? Reasonably straightforward. Councillor Newman.
So we're anticipating that this bill will address the issue of how a government policy statement can, in effect, overlap or usurp the objectives and policies of the unitary plan, the RPS provisions.
So the government policy statement is not to do that. The government policy statement will be a statement from the Minister of Housing on what is expected to be addressed by Kāinga Ora and their activities, and that's not due for 2 years. What this bill will do is provide Kāinga Ora with the powers to start a process where they identify a specified development area, so a spatially defined area, and then indicate that they will need certain powers in order for them to develop that area. And as Anna has said, those powers could be consenting, planning powers to override the unitary plan, it could be rate setting, they could require infrastructure to be built both inside that specified development area or outside. And that's why it has some significance for local government.
And who would presumably with the consenting powers that they would take, they're going to fund the infrastructure as well as the transmission infrastructure to give effect?
So previous submissions by Auckland Council on the concept of urban development agency has indicated that we would expect if they were going to build or acquire new infrastructure that they fund it. But because we have not yet seen the bill, we don't know if that matter's covered, and that will be one of the things that we will be looking at really carefully, and if not clearly indicated, put that in any submission going forward.
Thank you. No further questions. I will put the A and the B. Look, can I have a mover? I better have a mover first. Mover and Councillor Tracy Mulholland. A seconder, please. Councillor Simpson. I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. Declare that carried. Ms. Perrott, where are you going? Ms. Perrott, this is your final meeting. Penny's final meeting, folks. Penny is leaving the organisation. She's been here the whole life of the New Auckland Council and beyond at Auckland City. Penny, just really want to acknowledge your phenomenal contribution over a really long period. I've always found you have a wicked intellect. You've made a major contribution to some really important strategic documents that are guiding the city now. They'll be guiding the city for decades to come. Even yesterday, just a brief exchange that you and I had, I'm thinking to myself after that meeting, wow, that is such an important oversight of critical work that you have just reminded me of. And the list goes on. I mean, your application is phenomenal. It is one that has an eye for the smallest detail, the perverse outcomes that need to be avoided, the great outcomes that need to be created and delivered. Big innings you've had here at the council before and the last 9 and a bit years. If I went through the list of your contributions, we would be here until well past lunch. But seriously, Penny, it's been phenomenal. On behalf of us all and Aucklanders, I am expressing a very warm gratitude for your contribution to shaping Auckland. Thank you.
It's been an honour. It's been a real privilege and honour, so thank you very much for those kind words.
Now, item 10, and we will call, is it Michelle?
Oh no, it's going to be Warren
It's-
McLennan.
Oh, sorry, Warren McLennan, and this is quite straightforward too. We just need to re-establish the working parties there. Warren, welcome, Warren. I don't think we need to go over this. We've read it, we understand it, and the motions are before us. Can I have a mover for that, please? Councillor Henderson, Councillor Casey. Is there anything, I need to ask the question, is there anything further to add? It is. Thank you. All those in favour, sorry, member nominee.
It is pretty straightforward, but one of the comments I just wanted to make, actually in relation to that resolution, I've been on the previous area plan board. One disjunct I see, and it may well be that it ought to be managed when you move into the plan change for the Hauraki Gulf Islands. That might be where it's sitting, but launching, I guess, the conversation of the existing plan, got no problems with that. The existing communities plan, no problems with that. But don't think that that enables a full picture of mana whenua views. It doesn't. So all I'm saying is, whether it's in the local area board, and acknowledge that consultation will be ongoing, engagement will be ongoing, there's just a disjunct there in terms of how the rationale from going from that community plan to that does not cater for mana whenua worldview. And let's hope engagement will fill that gap, and then I guess the next step will fill that gap. And I just wanted to highlight an example of that. The plan changes for a number of islands, not just Waiheke. But the focus, of course, in this first stage tends to be Waiheke, because that's where the residents and communities are, and that's where the core resource management issues are. But don't forget, there are other islands that sit within the Waiheke local area that are potentially having a number of transformations happen to them going forward with treaty settlements, existing treaty settlements, harbour settlements, etc. So I just wanted to say that I'm not seeking any notes, but it was just my observation in the previous phase of this exercise.
Thank you, Member Namani. And Warren, I think going forward we need to take those views on board and address those as we progress the work. Thank you. It's moved by Councillor Cooper and seconded by Councillor Casey. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. Declare that carried.